What's up, guys? My name is Riofacer, you can call me Rio, and today I am releasing the first video of a series that I'm starting on Yasuo Adc. Couple things about me before we get started. I am a Diamond 4, Diamond 3 player. I have played about over 1,000 games of Yasuo Adc in the past 2 seasons. It has been my main champion in the ADC position for about 2 years now, and I figured why not come out with a guide. It's the preseason, lots of new changes, lots of exciting stuff. So yeah, sit back and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so today's video is going to be a more generalized video about the overall play style of Yasuo bot, and how to kind of go around the mechanics of it, what you're supposed to do, and generally kind of go through my experience playing the role. So let's go over the pros and cons first. Pros, let's be honest, it's fun as fuck. I think it's a lot more fun than playing in mid lane. I think having the dynamic of the 2v2 is a really cool concept with Yasuo. It's also a counter to a lot of ADCs and a lot of support champions in the sense that your win wall blocks most of those abilities. So that's one of the pros Yasuo has, is your win wall ability actually negates most of the things that happen bot lane. If you use it correctly, you just win a fight. It's very snowbally. Instead of one, like let's say you're farming your mid laner for gold, example, that's 1 kill. Bot lane, you can get upwards to 3 kills most of the time because their jungler's probably going to come down and you're getting triple kills, double kills on the regular, so you have a lot more gold potential. Third, you snowball so hard. You can snowball really hard in the bot lane, and like I said, it's just really fun. Cons though, especially in season 10 now, you are going to be down levels. So you could be 8-0, but if you're level 9 and you swap top lane and there's a level 14, 13 Garen, you're probably still not going to beat him, despite being incredibly fed. So you have to be careful. I'm going to go into another video, but generally you're going to want to find a side lane and start getting solo XP if you can. If you fall behind as Yasuo ADC, it's really bad. You're not going to have a fun time. It is just, it's the same thing as mid. If you play it mid, it's rough. At least you have experience in levels. If you fall behind bot lane, it's even worse. So it's a high risk pick. And then lastly, I think this is my own opinion. I know other Yasuo players think this one's a little bit different, but I think we can all agree to a certain extent. Picking Yasuo ADC is very support dependent. It's more dependent on what support you're working with, especially in the early game, and what support they pick. I don't think necessarily the ADC picks are that big of a deal that you have to worry about. It's the pick of their support and the pick of your support that really dictates how this lane is going to go, and how you can really do things early on, at least, until you get the power spikes you need to 2v1. So backing off that idea, why do you pick Yasuo bot as well? Well, to pick Yasuo bot, I think the main reason is you want to stomp on their bot lane. You want to put their AD carry in a position, or whatever bot laner they choose, in a position where they can't do much. They're behind and they need to farm the side waves and they're not doing much, and where you are so much stronger than them that you can snowball your mid game and late game. There's going to be times where you have to play a little bit passive, but for the most part you want to kill the bot lane. That is the reason you are picking this. So my personal opinion, take Conqueror every time. That's how I play it, especially with the new Conqueror. I think the passive healing on it, with your domination tree secondary, you're going to have enough passive healing throughout the game. If you need a Bloodthirster later, you pick it up. But I think if you're going to play Fleet, you're not playing to win the lane, you're playing to sustain, and that's just not how I play. I rather try to kill them in their lane than just kind of sit back passively. But like I said, that's my play style. Sometimes it really fires back on me. It's a high risk. It's a little bit more risk, but I know you can play Fleet and still be successful. If it's a really hard matchup like Caitlyn, Zyra, or something, and you have, I don't know, let's say a Shaco support who really can't get in the bushes because you're under tower and you can't really do much and you're not getting ganked. Well, you know what? Maybe Fleet would have been better that lane, you know? That's just how I play. Okay, so I'm not going to go too in-depth into this. This section is going to be mostly on matchups. I'm going to have a separate video for, maybe even 2, for all the matchups, since I want to go very in-depth with that. But this is going to be the general overview of what you're usually going to see. So in most cases, you're going to have double melee versus double ranged, or melee ranged versus melee ranged. In this case, you're either always going to be on the side of double melee or melee plus ranged. So if you're in a double melee versus double range matchup, this is your best lane, but also your hardest lane at times. When I say that, let's say you have an Alistar Yasuo versus a Caitlyn Zyra. You guys have insane engage. You're going to probably kill them if you play it correctly, but you can get poked out too hard to the point where by the time Alistar engages, he just dies. Or maybe you get poked out too hard where you can't follow up on his engage, or vice versa. So in these kind of lanes, you want to sacrifice early farm. Usually you're going to maybe pick up 1 or 2 CS in the first wave and then probably back off. If they're smart, all they have to do is auto attack you. You and, for example, Alistar are pretty useless level 1. So 1, back off. Be by your tower. 2, get a Doran's Shield. Doran's Shield is really good in these lanes, especially since it just got buffed for the melee versus range matchup. You will passively heal yourself. It allows you to take Conqueror, so when you are ready for that all-in, you get your Conqueror stacks, which make up for the lack of Doran's Blade. And you'll be healthy enough to go in. If you are not healthy enough to follow up on the engage, this lane will be absolute hell for you because you will be under your tower, getting poked out while trying to farm, and you'll be down 30 CS, no kills, and you're just useless for your team. In these kind of lanes, you're going to want to play around your sports engage, or you tell them to play around your NATO proc engage. Granted, if the enemy team is smart, they will probably back off when you have your NATO procced. However, especially in low elo, this is really not the case ever. People don't really respect it. But you want to communicate with your support beforehand to tell them to play passive, and your main goal at the beginning of the game, until you're level 3 and have all your abilities, is to stay as healthy as possible. Sacrifice whatever farm you have to have, and just get pushed under your tower. Examples of good supports in this situation: Leona, Alistar, Thresh, Pyke. If they hit any of their CC abilities, you're going to force a flash. And you're going to want to follow up on the engage. Or tell them to follow up on your engage, whichever works. The second main matchup you're going to face is the melee range versus melee range. This is where it's more of an even lane. It could go either way. So let's say you have a Nami, or a Zyra, or just a poke mage as a support. Maybe even a Lux. Something you really don't want to have, but you can work with it. These are the ones where you actually have potential to trade early, but you're a lot more support dependent. Your support can trade with them level 1. Let's say they have a Braum support, Caitlyn ADC. Nami can actually poke out the Alistar. You can even get a couple Qs in. The only way level 1 that they're going to be able to attack you is through Caitlyn autos. So if it's like a Braum, Alistar level 1, you have a little bit more flexibility to actually go for a level 2. Personally, just like mid lane, I think you should be pulling the wave at all times. You don't need to shove them in. There's no point in shoving them in. The point is to kill them, unless you're going for a dive coordinated with your jungler, or if you're fed enough and can dive them with your support. There's no reason to be pushing them in. You should always try to be pulling your wave. Freezing wave is even more important now with the XP nerf. And always look for the long extended fights over the entire wave, the entire lane. You want to get those, you want to fight them, you want to engage on them. What's the best way to do that? Be under your tower, get some CC on them, and then engage them where they have to run all the way back to their tower. And then when a minion wave's coming in, you just dash and go kill them. You also have a much larger lane to work with since you're bot lane and not mid lane, so that's actually an advantage to Yasuo bot, I guess, compared to mid, where it's a shorter lane. So these are generally the two main types of matchups. I'll have a link for a future video, if it's out already, where you can click it and I'll go much more in depth into the specific matchups and how they work. Piggybacking off of that though, item-wise and power spikes are what you want to play around. You don't necessarily have to go for kills at level 3, but your first power spike is level 3. You can go for alt-ins at this point. You have all your abilities. Wind wall is huge. Think of what you have to wind wall. If it's a Zyra, okay, I have to wind wall her snare so I can actually engage. If it's a Lux, wind wall the snare. If it's a Morgana, wind wall the bind. Wind wall should be used to CC the ability, or to use to block the abilities that are going to stop you from your engage. Your next power spike is your Zerk's Rush. I always go Berserker Greaves first. The attack speed on it is just so worth it. It's 1100 gold. That should be also, if they don't have a BF sword, let's say they had to go for a pickaxe, you have a lot more. I think you have more DPS at this point than the enemy ADC. So if you coordinate correctly and win all the correct stuff, you can kill them at this point. If you can't force a fight, then your next possible time is looking at level 6. Usually this is also a time when you get Zerks. Depends, but you look for level 6. If you have very good synergy with support, you just all in them like with Alistar, go, boom, you're good. After that, you're looking for a Zeal Cloak. Ever since it changes to Cloak, now you can get 100% crit without even building a single full item. I like to actually go Zeal plus Cloak after my Zerks, and you get 100% crit rush. As you can see in the video that is showing right now on screen, I'm showing you the damage that I'm doing to a dummy with PD, as opposed to just rushing Zerks and Cloak and Zeal. You actually have more damage with the Zeal plus Cloak. And honestly, third, just don't feed. That's your next biggest power spike. If you start feeding, you're going to fall behind and it's going to be rough. Depending on who the ADC is, if it's really immobile, you can always kill them no matter what. when you eventually get your first, second item and you get some CC, get some knockups, you'll be able to kill them. Do not feed. This is a lane you pick for the purpose of snowballing. Alright guys, I hope that gave you a general insight onto how Yasuo bot is meant to be played on an overall level. The next few videos are going to get more specific in terms of matchups, item builds, etc. So keep an eye out for those if they're already out. Link's going to be probably at the very end of this video, so check them out, and good luck in solo queue, and I'll catch you guys next time.